Hello and welcome back. Today I'll be crafting some glass bricks in order to practice my masonry skills here on the Jasa channel. I'll start out by flame cutting down this 31.7 millimeter rod using some improvised rollers. I hung some steel wire from my ventilation system to support the weight of this nearly 6-pound rod. I came up with this idea a while ago, but this is my first time attempting it. And it actually seemed like it worked pretty well. It normally takes me 3 minutes to melt through one of these rods. And so to hold it the entire time can wear down my arms pretty quickly. And now I don't normally recommend a rod this large. It's more volatile to thermal stress. You can see some pretty extensive damage here, some spiderweb-like cracks. This happened the other day while I had a visitor in the shop. My niece, she came over to check out what the new project was, but I kept turning back to talk to her and got a bit distracted. She just said out of nowhere, "Uncle, the rod's moving." I look forward and sure enough, it's sliding off the wires. Thanks to her warning, I was able to grab it in time, but it splashed a little bit too much heat to one side. And as it cooled, about 20 seconds later, it cracked. And so that leads me to the important topic of today's video. Working with other people in your studio. Either guests just visiting the shop, or maybe other lamp workers flame working next to you. You definitely do have to take some extra precautions. There's some uncontrolled risks to having others in your shop, which you normally wouldn't have by yourself. Good to remind your guests that anything in the studio could be hot, especially near the kiln or glass around the workstation. And so it's best to avoid touching anything unless it's handed to you. They would need to be equipped with proper eye protection as well. And real quickly, in the bottom of the screen, you can see I'm using what's called a bench roller. That's the tool I was attempting to improvise at the start of the video. And now it does pretty well too. I just never got the hang of it. I move it around a lot also. It seems to always get in the way. And now for other glass workers in your studio, communication is very important. When you're both working on the same project, it does require a lot of communication to keep synchronized. But when working on separate projects and moving through the studio with hot glass in your hands, it's always good to communicate that as well. Simply yelling out, hot glass, look out, might save someone a burn or a broken punty. But most importantly, it's a good idea not to hand your guests hot glass. That could be a mistake. And now I'm separating the rod into smaller and smaller sections. Working with a larger rod like this can give you a better internal clarity compared to gathering a smaller rod, which will have more surface area exposed to the atmosphere. Now that I have my larger rod cut down about 9 or 10 times and attached to punties, which are my handles, I'll start forming up the bricks. I'll heat up the large section and begin to press it between my graphite pad and paddle. I'll give it a half turn and press it again to get all 4 sides. And it looks like I might have turned it a little too much, so the sides didn't come out very even. I'll have to go back in and work on it a little more. That's kind of the difficult part of working with your hands. It's almost impossible to get repeatedly perfect results. In situations like these, I often make much more than I need. Instead of 10 bricks, maybe 15 or 20. And then I can reject the most odd bricks, keeping the building the most uniform. I didn't do that here, however. The first 10 I made are the chosen ones. But now I'll just flash a little bit of heat into the outside to balance the temperature all the way through before I throw it into the kiln. And so I wanted to point out ahead of time that I'm not an expert in masonry. This is my first project here using bricks. I believe you'd normally start by hanging a leveled line of rope as a reference to lay a leveled line of bricks. But since this project is so small, I'm just going to go ahead and eyeball it after I finish wetting the surface to help adhere to the mortar. And now I'm no pro, but I can already tell that this mortar is way too thin. It's kind of a good pouring consistency, maybe for a post. But to lay bricks, I think it definitely needs a thicker consistency, like oatmeal. I could add more mortar powder or give it time to dry out. But time is running out more every day. And so I'm just gonna start buttering this next brick in order to make a joint between it and the first stone, normally referred to as the cornerstone, which is a prominent part of constructing a building, as every stone laid after will follow the placement and orientation of this stone. And now the placement or the location for this building has been a bit of a work in progress. I was originally planning to hide it somewhere outside my house for people to stumble upon, but I've been kind of thinking about different ideas with it. And that's why I built it on the cinder block. It's going to become more of a sculptural piece. I'll add more to it as time goes on. But now that we're out of time on this video, I want to thank you for tuning in to the Jasa channel. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to hit like, and also don't forget to subscribe to find your way back. You won't want to miss what's coming up in the next video, a siege weapon.